Oh, cool.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome. We have a new friend with us. We have Margot with us today. Hi, Margot.
Wait.
This is Truly Cooking with Kids.
Yeah.
Hi, Margot.
It's sort of a law of the universe that if you have something to do, your child will not sleep at the designated time.
Never.
It's like a sixth sense. So here we are.
All right. Well, we are going to try to make soda bread today, and I'll wait for a few people. Oh, and I see Renana is here. Hi, Renana. I see Kate and Laura is here. Excellent. So we've got some folks joining us. While we're waiting for everybody to arrive, as a reminder, we're doing soda bread, and I have some of my ingredients here. So I have the baking soda, baking powder, we have flour, sugar, salt, and milk. Is that something people had in their fridge? Not me. We're going to do it with milk and lemon juice, or you could use vinegar. It'll work fine. I also don't have raisins. My kids don't eat raisins, so
That's the problem. My kids almost all.
I have cranberries, so I thought maybe I could do cranberry soda bread, but they wouldn't eat those because they love eating those just plain. And we'll just make soda bread without. So while we're waiting for everybody, we've got about 9 people joining us right now. Why don't we wash hands? So I'm going to just wash my hands quick so that I can get started. Ella, will you do the same?
Yeah.
I need new songs to sing while I'm washing my hands.
Oh, yeah, we've been doing.
Happy Patrick's Day to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day, dear everybody. Okay. What we're going to do today is we're going to do the cooking first, and then after cooking we will do oh, hi Kirsten, hello Nico, hi Greta. I'm so glad you're joining us. After we do the cooking, we're going to do a craft. Laura's going to do a craft with us. The first thing I thought we would do, and we have a few people here, is I thought we could do a really quick science experiment also.
Ooh, come on.
So if anybody has baking soda in front of them for their, for this one, we're going to use just baking soda and a little bit of vinegar, any kind of vinegar. I am out of, well, I'm saving my vinegar for like salad dressings, but all I have left really is apple cider vinegar. I don't have any white vinegar, but if you have white vinegar, that would work fine. And we're going to just take a glass.
Oh, I just cooked green waffles.
Or a jar. Oh, really? Oh, fun. That's really fun. And we are going to put a little scoop, like maybe, I don't know, this is a teaspoon of baking soda. And Ella, will you do the honors of pouring, I don't know, a little bit of vinegar, maybe just to here?
Fine there.
We're going to see what happens. Are you ready, everybody?
Yes.
Ooh, watch the glass. Let's see. Ooh.
You
Jen,
go a little more.
closer to the camera so we can see. There we go. Ooh, look at it. It's foaming, bubbling.
That's good.
Too.
Yeah. Maybe we could try that.
Yeah.
So, does anybody know what happens when you mix baking soda and vinegar? Does anybody know what those bubbles are?
No.
I'll wait for a couple guesses out there. Oh, hello, Jessica. Hi. And hello, Soph and Jack and Danbury. That's awesome. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, that's okay, Kimberly. We just started. So for those of you who are just joining us, we were waiting for everybody to get here. We were washing hands, and we just did a little experiment where we mixed baking soda and vinegar together, and it made all these bubbles. And if you have baking soda and if you have baking, sorry, I'm going to answer a question in a second. If you have baking soda and vinegar, you could try mixing it together and see the bubbles that you get. And yes, Lori, that's right. You get carbonation. It's actually carbon dioxide. And so when you're making soda bread, which is basically baking soda bread, then you get carbon dioxide, which makes these bubbles, which makes the bread rise. It's like a leavener, the way yeast is a leavener in typical breads. But for this one, we're going to use the baking soda. And I see Jessica. Hi, Val. How are you? It's nice to see you. I know I can't see you, but you can see me. Soda bread uses carbonation, uses the carbon dioxide to help make it nice and fluffy. And so that's what we're going to be making today. And so, yes, we're going to put sugar on our bread. Yes.
So
and we're going to, what was I going to say about the carbon dioxide and the bread?
I was just wondering, so if you didn't have that combination of the acid and the base.
That's right. Yes.
You would have especially like a cracker, right? Like something very dense that didn't have any air in it.
That's right. And so the different kinds of acids that you might add to cooking or baking, if you see like lemon juice or maybe buttermilk like we're going to use today, except I'm going to use milk and lemon juice because I don't have buttermilk. You could also do yogurt is an acid, right? And so the base is the baking soda, and the acid, even milk is a little acidic. So milk has a little acid that will react with baking soda, and that's going to help get those bubbles. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is actually get my pretend buttermilk going because I don't have any buttermilk. And so I'm going to measure about a tablespoon of lemon juice. Yes. Oh, goodness gracious. Hold on 1 second. So, Elle, can you grab the lemon juicer?
The lemon, okay.
And my tablespoon measure was used yesterday, so I'm just going to wash that quick. So we're going to squeeze a little bit of lemon juice, and I'm going to get the milk from the fridge.
Can I use a lemon?
Yep. So Ella's going to squeeze some lemon. And I'm going to pour a cup of milk, and we're going to mix a tablespoon of, just barely a cup of milk, and a tablespoon of lemon juice. We're going to let that sit for 5 minutes, and that's going to create basically the buttermilk substitute. So if anybody doesn't have buttermilk, go ahead and use milk and lemon juice. Now wait a minute for that.
Listen, Maxwell Mom is teaching us how to make this kind of bread.
Again. Okay, that should be good. Put that over here. We'll take the top off. Okay, so just measure into that tablespoon measure. You might want to pour it because it's not deep enough. There we go. Okay, so mix that into the milk, and we'll just set that aside for a bit, about 5 minutes, and we can get going on the rest of our soda bread. Okay. So we're trying this new. Forgive me for some of the clunkiness, but we're trying. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need 2 cups of flour. So
you put your flour.
I put my flour here, and I know Marga was so ready.
We got that.
So does everybody have flour to add to their bowl? And we're just going to do it in a big mixing bowl like this. I like this particular recipe for soda bread because we don't need to take out the mixer. We can just use a big bowl and a whisk and our fingers. And I have a cup. And we're going to measure out 2 cups of flour. So there's 1 cup. All right. And we're going to do 2 cups. How's everybody doing out there?
All right. Well, we're making a big mess.
Mostly just watching. 2 cups of flour. There we go.
Okay, the next
And we're going to send, we're going to post the recipe that we used for the soda bread so you have it. Okay. So next thing we need is sugar, and we're going to use 5 tablespoons of sugar. But the sugar is going to be divided. So some of it's going to be sprinkled on top. Not divided. Soda bread. So we actually for the inside we only need 4 tablespoons of sugar, but 5 is going to be just fine, Margot. Don't worry about it.
I just like things a little sweeter over here.
Yeah. So Ella, can you do 4 tablespoons of sugar in there? No, because the 5 is for later. And in the meantime, I'm going to get my oven going to 375.
Wes, can you go turn on the oven?
So 375. So that's 1.
Oh, listen.
No, that's 2.
Oh, that was 2. Okay. 3 and 4. Hello, Margot.
Margot, say hi to Chloe. I think Chloe's
How's
watching.
everybody doing? Does anybody need me to stop or go back to any of the ingredients? We did our flour, which was 2 cups of flour. We did 4 tablespoons of sugar. We're going to save 1 tablespoon for the very end.
Come on over here.
And now we're going to add our baking powder.
I'm going to add this. Come here.
And baking powder often works with baking soda. Baking powder also has, in addition to the bicarbonate, which this has, right? So this has sodium bicarbonate. It also has cornstarch. So it's just more of a mix of ingredients. And so we need 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder.
Can you
So
do
here's the baking powder.
that?
1.5.
1.5, so that you can use that 1, and I'll get you a half teaspoon to measure it.
1.
Does anybody else out there have any great
1.
say traditions? Yep, go right into the bowl, into the dry ingredients, and here's a half. Hi, Lydia, how are you?
We're going to finish it. Good job. Okay, throw that
And
in.
here's a half a teaspoon. I love that Kate cooked green waffles for breakfast. And you'll do the soda bread later. Okay, so Kate, we're going to do the craft in a little bit, and I'll send the recipe. Is that Will? Hi, Will. We'll send the recipe for the bread in just a little bit. So you have it to do later. It's a really simple recipe. Okay, so we've got the flour, sugar, baking powder, and a teaspoon of salt. Okay, and I always measure the salt. I never measure the salt over the bowl that I'm working in because I always am afraid, just like I did now, that I'm going to over pour. So we have 1 teaspoon of salt. So I always do that at a separate location. So here's a teaspoon of salt going right in the bowl. And then last thing we need is 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, which is the one in the box. So Ella, if we need 3/4 of a teaspoon and I have a half a teaspoon, how much else do I need? And I'll put this out there to everybody else.
You need 2.
Well, if I do 2 half teaspoons,
Right.
I'll have a whole. So I
You
need a
half of this.
which is what?
A 4.
A 4. So we need a half teaspoon, and we can add to that a 1/4 of a teaspoon, and then we will have 3/4. So anybody out there who needs to do math today, you can consider it done. We just figured out what a half and a 1/4 makes 3/4. Yep, go ahead right into the bowl. And then we're going to do the 1/4 teaspoon into the bowl. How's everybody doing? Anybody else have any St. Patrick's Day plans? Anybody making corned beef? Cabbage?
Doing pasta for dinner tonight.
Hi, Val. Are you cooking with us, Val? Are you making it? Or just kind of watching it for now? Like I said, I'll send a link to the recipe as soon as this is done. And then you guys will have it to cook at home if you want to do it later. It really, what I love about this recipe is that it really does have a lot of ingredients that you have usually in your pantry. And like I said, for the buttermilk, which I don't have, it's something that you can make with milk and the lemon juice. Or if you don't have lemons, you can mix the tablespoon of white vinegar instead of lemon. Okay. So next, we're going to whisk that together, Elle.
Okay.
So you're going to whisk your dry ingredients. And whenever I whisk something, I always tell kids to keep the bottom of the whisk touching the bottom of the bowl at all times, because otherwise you tend to kind of like whisk like that and it flies out.
You'll look like I do. Oh, that's good.
Which is great. So if you whisk the ingredients together, you get it nicely mixed together, nice like Ella's doing. Thank you, Ella. Ella is my visual assistant here. and cooking assistant. Perfect. Okay, and I'm going to put this back up again for a second so we can. Okay, so now our ingredients are mixed together. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our butter. So I'm going to get my butter from the refrigerator. It's 3 tablespoons of butter. And basically it always says unsalted. And the reason it says unsalted is because then you can control how much salt you want to add to your recipe. But if you use salted butter, it's not the end of the world. You just maybe add a little bit less salt or not, and it's going to probably be fine. But this is unsalted butter. And so I'm going to take mine and I'm just going to put it into cubes.
Okay.
So my cubes are,
Butter.
thanks, Elle. It's 3 tablespoons of butter.
Wow.
So the cubes I'm making are about this big. And so Elle, why don't you get the rest of those in? And then anybody who took the cooking class with us last week where we made an apple crisp, we're going to do a similar kind of thing where we use our fingertips in the bowl.
Right. I'm going to cut it up and then you get to mix it with your hands.
We're going to use our fingertips in the bowl to kind of get the butter mixed in.
Put it on the plate.
We're going to kind of rub it until what's called like a coarse meal. And what that means is you're going to kind of rub the butter between your fingertips. I like to describe it as like, let me see if I can put this in a better spot. There we go. Is you kind of like squeeze it between your fingertips and drop it. So you take a piece of butter and you kind of like smush it and drop it. And smush it and drop it. You're going to do that until you get what I would call like what's called a coarse meal. And what that means is it's basically like, I don't know, you're getting your butter like incorporated into all the flour. So this is the fun part. This is where your hands get a little dirty. So go ahead and get your fingers in there. If anybody's doing it with me, send me pictures of your floury fingertips so we can see it. Thanks, Elle. We'll get the rest of our butter in there quickly. And you want it to stay cold. So you don't want the butter to get too melty. That is a word, melty, right?
Yeah.
Right, Elle?
Yeah.
And Laura's doing a great demo. She's got a good, oh, look at that. See, this is a great activity for little hands, as long as you're totally cool with flour on all your furniture and walls, which.
I mean, just everywhere. It looks like it snowed in here.
So the next lesson, Laura, is a little cleanup lesson, right? That's what you guys are doing next. We'll clean up.
Use the dust buster, that little cordless vacuum. So that'll be our next activity.
Awesome. So how's everybody doing out there? Anybody want to share? If anybody's cooking with us now, let us know how it's going. If you have any questions, if you need me to slow down, go too fast. Like I said, no. So Gillian asked if I mixed the buttermilk. So yes, before I started, and you could do that right now if you want to, you're going to mix your milk and the tablespoon of lemon or a tablespoon of vinegar and just set it aside for like 5 minutes just to let it mix together.
She's asking if you mixed it in yet.
Oh, I haven't mixed it in yet. So right now we just have the flour. And we're just doing the flour and the butter. And I've got kind of a coarse meal. Do you, Laura?
Yeah, it's probably not all the way there yet, but we'll keep working on it.
Yeah, so basically you just get these little crumbles in there, and that's about where you want to go. And then once you get those crumbles, okay, so Laura's going to do it later. Okay, excellent, Laura. So I'll send the recipe out so you have it. I'll send a link. We're using one from Epicurious today, which is a website I really like using for recipes. I just find them pretty consistent. I check the reviews, but they're pretty consistent. Okay, so let's go rinse our hands out. This is looking good. We don't want it to get too melty. But before I rinse my hands, I'm going to make a little well in the center. And I'll show you this. I'm making the well right now. But I'll show you what it looks like. You're just going to pour the buttermilk into the hole in the middle. But hold on one second. I'll rinse my hands. Okay, hands are rinsed. Now I can show you what this looks like. So I'm going to pick up my computer. Okay, let's see. So there's the butter. There's the flour that's been mixed together with the butter. There's a little bit of a hole dipped into the middle. And next thing we're going to do is add the buttermilk, or in this case, the milk that has been mixed with a little bit of lemon. And so I'm going to pour that right into the middle. Perfect. Okay. And then I'm actually going to use a fork at this point to get it all blended together. And so you're just going to stir the dry into the wet here. And you're going to just stir it together until it comes together. And if you have raisins or currants or cranberries, you can add them now. I don't have them. And to be honest, my kids don't really like raisins. So do you like raisins? No. Would you rather the bread have raisins or not have raisins?
Not have raisins.
All right. So it's not, it's not as traditional perhaps as some breads. Okay. And so this is a true 1 bowl. Can you put this into the sink for me to get it out of the way? All right. So you're getting it together and you're starting to get this sort of like dough coming together, just like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to.
She wants to slow down a little.
Oh, sure. I'm going to take a second. So Jessica asked us if we could slow down just a little bit. Jessica, let us know where you are on things and I'll take a quick break. We're really close to.
Here, can I keep stirring?
Yeah. And you don't need to over stir because you get it a little bit. You just don't want it to get overly mixed. So again, we added all of our dry ingredients. And then we added our butter and we mixed it together with our fingertips.
Okay, come on over here.
Yes, we added, Katie wants to know if we added the sugar to the dry mixture. We added 4 tablespoons of sugar to the dry mixture. We want to add 4 tablespoons and save 1 tablespoon for the end. So that's pretty good, Elle. Does anybody else have any questions at this point? Oh, the raisins, 2/3 of a cup of raisins. Sorry, I didn't measure that out because I wasn't using it. 2/3 of a cup of raisins. Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, hi, Nana. Ella's grandmother is on watching with us today.
Hi, Nana.
Hi, Nana. Any other questions before we go? Oh, Lydia, I do not like raisins. Well, I shouldn't say that. I really like raisins, but I actually don't really like them in baked goods or cookies. I like them separate. So, and my kids don't really like raisins, and I don't have any raisins because of that. So we're not going to add raisins to our recipe. I see Jessica said that she's still mixing with our little fingertips. So you're mixing in the butter. Great. So in a few minutes, go ahead and mix your buttermilk in and stir it with a fork. And then I'm going to show you what I'm doing next. Now, I mentioned to have cooking spray. I cannot find my cooking spray. I know it's in my pantry, but my pantry is loaded with cans of beans at the moment. Oh, Laura, I see your cooking spray. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
you know what? It's fine. We're just going to use a little vegetable oil and I'm going to pour it into my dish here. And I happen to have a cake pan, but I think like a square brownie dish would fine. You're basically just looking for something to like make sure it doesn't melt out completely. But I also think you could I've done this on a sheet pan and it works fine. A pie dish looks okay. So I just put a little bit of vegetable oil.
I'm hungry. Someone's been hungry.
Oh my goodness. Hello, Adam from Hungry.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing. So I'm just going to use a paper towel to put this around because since I don't have any cooking spray, I'm just using a little bit of vegetable oil.
And so it is sort of like a loose batter, not as, firm as like maybe a traditional bread dough, right?
That's right. It's pretty. Look how gloopy it is. It's pretty
Just
pretty wet. And what we're going to do next, and I'm just going to get my fork cleaned up, is we're going to put a little bit of flour on our hands. And with floured hands, we're going to pick up the dough. We're going to shape it into a ball. We're going to put it in our pan. And we're going to just kind of get it into the center of our pan. So let me get some flour for me and Ella here. You can put that over the bowl. So we both have a little bit of flour on our hands, just like that. Oh, yes, Gillian. Chocolate chips would be good.
Can I put chocolate chips in?
Chocolate chip soda bread? You know what? We're not going to do this one. I'll tell you why. Our chocolate chips are highly valued for smoothies that we make in the morning. So I'm going to save our chocolate chips for that. Okay, so you're going to take your bread. I'm going to lift it all the way up.
I don't think I have enough.
Yeah, we might need a little more flour. You can actually be the person who gives me more flour. So we're going to lift up our dough, and we're just going to kind of shape it into a ball.
Mm.
All right, I'll get some more flour for us.
You know what? I think mine is looser because we lost some of the flour. So I'm going to add a little.
Add a little flour if you're feeling like it's too wet. Okay, but now so if you overwork it, you're going to start getting sticky. So let me put some here. You can transfer it to me. I'll be the next flour. Okay, you go rinse your hands. Okay.
That doesn't work very well.
Okay. You let go of that. Okay, so we're going to form it into a ball. Just like that. Okay, and I'm going to put it right in the middle of my cake pan here. I think we lost Laura for a minute. Got quiet all of a sudden, I wondered. And then it's not going to come to the edges of the pan, so it's really just going to be right in the middle. And it's going to rise and get bigger, but this is just going to kind of help it keep its shape. And then we're going to sprinkle it with a tablespoon of sugar. Oops, my ball moved a little bit. So I'm going to put that there in the middle, and I'm going to get a tablespoon of sugar. And I'm going to add that to the top. How's everybody doing it today? Is everybody doing okay? Hi, Laura. We lost you for a second.
Well, I'm doing a little damage control. They've decided they want to play with water right now. So,
oh, perfect.
You know.
All right, so I'm adding a little bit of sugar. I'm just sprinkling it on the surface of my dough. And that is it, you guys. We're going to bake it until it's brown. And we're going to bake it. That's a lot of sugar.
But I want more sugar.
We're going to put that in the oven. And we're going to bake it for about 40 minutes. And then let it rest for about 10 minutes. And that's it. So it's pretty much a one bowl recipe. Pretty easy. I'm going to send out the link. Oh my goodness, Kate added the butter from the honey butter to her waffle yesterday. Was it good?
I bet it was.
That's what I was just thinking. If you have some left over, we put a little on our toast this morning, but if you have some left over, I'm sure it would be great on this bread, which we'll have later this afternoon.
I ate like it all.
So that is the soda bread recipe. We will share that with you. I'm going to come over here so I can, there's my pantry, so we can see what Laura's working on. So we're going to start doing our craft.
All right, so to go with our Irish theme, some leprechaun houses today. I know, Margo, come on over here. You can help me. Yep, come on over here. So a lot of people make like leprechaun traps around St. Patrick's Day, but we thought instead of trying to catch it, maybe we could just lure it in by creating this.
Oh, I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. I'm so sorry. The oven is going to be 375.
It's an experiment.
175 degrees for 40 minutes. Hold on 1 second. So let me add, let me just create a quick banner here and say 375 for the oven. And I'm going to add that. I'm also going to add the link for the recipe while we're waiting for Laura. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions about the soda bread recipe, or does anybody want to share what they're working on today? Here we go. Here comes Laura back. Hold on, let me add this. 375 for the oven. Oops, sorry. Okay. Laura, you're still on mute, I think.
Okay, well, trying to avoid sharing that audio with the world, but
Wow.
okay.
You want me to take over for a little bit?
Maybe for just a minute.
Okay. All right. So what Laura suggested we do for the leprechaun houses is that we're going to take boxes and materials that we have from outdoors and glue them together to create a leprechaun house. Ella, do you want to get your leprechaun traps from yesterday? So we also made leprechaun traps. I'm not sure. Did anybody catch a leprechaun last night?
All right.
Oh, there we go. We made leprechaun traps last night. One of the traps had this actually had baking soda and vinegar in it. And the idea was when the leprechaun came to eat the candy, it would react and they would fly up to the ceiling. So we had to put duct tape on our ceiling, which we did. And all that ended up happening was there was a note from the leprechaun on our ceiling this morning. No leprechaun.
They're very clever.
And I have to tell you something else that our leprechaun did. I'm sorry. One more thing our leprechaun did was he peed in our toilet.
Oh no.
Our toilet was green this morning.
Oh,
You
they're
guys.
kind of like mischievous little creatures.
I know. Okay, so in the oven, there's one more question, Kirsten. It's 40 minutes in the oven, and then a 10-minute break after that, just until it's browned. So we're going to send out the link. As Laura's doing hers, I'm going to make sure the link is live, and I'll put that in the comments right now.
Okay, so we decided to make little leprechaun houses to maybe try to lure them in, see if they, decide to stay. So for this craft, we sourced some materials that otherwise might have been thrown away or recycled, and then some natural materials. And I love to make crafts out of both of those things because I think it forces kids to think a little more creatively when you think about what could you turn something into, and also to do a lot of observation of like cool shapes and textures and colors that you can find in nature. So we went for a walk yesterday afternoon and gathered some of these materials, and then we actually went out this morning and got some more, even though it's sort of drizzly here in Connecticut today. We looked for pine cones and moss. So let's see if I can get some of these over here where you can see them. I was pleasantly surprised by how much there was out there for us to use. So, little twigs, tree branches. I'm not sure what this is. I would have to do some research to find out, but it looks pretty cool. And we thought it'd make like a good covering for the roof. Some seeds. And actually the best material I found was this very thin bark that has this cool, I guess it's some sort of lichen growing on it. Is that right, Jen?
Yeah, it looks like some sort of a moss or lichen. Yeah.
And then it's thin enough that I was able to cut it with scissors into like little pieces to make sort of a log cabin look. So for the base of the house, we used a half and half container and a toilet paper roll. And I recommend using hot glue for this because that really helps it firm up quickly and hold together. But if you have tacky glue,
we also used yesterday when Ella was making her trap. We used a lot of duct tape. So she added a little trap to her top here.
Oh, okay.
And she used duct tape on hers.
So what I did.
Yes, we eat little bites.
So what I did was the leprechaun climbs up here, and there's candy in here, and it falls.
Oh, so so the leprechaun climbed up the rope into the little dish, and then when it got to the dish that had some candy, it toppled in, except for he got out somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Okay, so gluing I love that, the paper towel roll. We should have lots of paper towel rolls at home. I'm being careful about recycling right now.
Margot, come help me. Come here. Come help me. Come here. I know. All right, come help me make this. Okay, so
Laura, I can take it from here. Does anybody else have examples of what they're doing that they could send us with their craft? I feel like we've got some people have jumped off, but we've got a few people still left. I'd love to see if anybody's making a leprechaun house.
All right. So in terms of process.
Oh, it's lichen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's what I thought. I wasn't sure if I was pronouncing it right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Margot, what is that on there? What are you making? Oh, did you separate it?
Yeah, she's good at that. It might be kind of warm still. So obviously if you're using hot glue, you have to be careful. It can get very hot, but it works great for this kind of project because it dries really firm and it's strong. So if you're, if you have one, just use it with a grown-up.
And then Laura, did you just glue stuff on the outside of it?
Yep, so first glue it together, then I did some painting. I used green and gold paint. So an oil-based.
Working on it. I put green and gold paint.
And then I used these little pieces, almost like, log cabins.
Oh, I love that. Like little bricks?
To finish it. Yeah, sort of like lumber on a log cabin. So I'm going to finish that during nap time.
Okay.
And then one other tip for the spout where the cream would come out.
Yeah.
Pine cone to make a sort of chimney.
Okay.
And then you can kind of fill in the rest with natural materials like moss.
I need to talk a little for my experiment.
Let's just see what's going on right there. And then, there's really no right or wrong way to do it with the natural materials. Like use acorns, use whatever you can find.
Awesome. All right, Laura, we are good. I was just going to say, Laura should feel comfortable attending to kids. We've got it.
Okay.
So, folks, if you would please, we're going to post later. We're going to post pictures. You have to bear with us as we're trying to figure this all out. But I feel like all of you can commiserate with Laura. I have my lovely Ella who is not screaming right now, which is great. If you guys could post pictures of your bread and also of your leprechaun houses, that would be awesome. I think maybe we'll go outside and grab some materials and make one, and we'll post one for this afternoon. Thank you all for joining in. It's so fun to see you all, even if it is virtually. And we will be back at you tomorrow at 11 with another activity. I'm going to go check on my bread. I posted the link to the bread here, but I'm also going to send it out via Instagram and Facebook, and I'll put it up on our website. I'm sorry I didn't do that last night. I'm still trying to figure this all out. Hopefully you guys were able to follow along, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a good day, everybody.